and welcome to another Comics Burst from the Full Force podcast, sponsored by Distant Planet Comics and Collectibles, where we take an in-depth look at the newest G.I. Joe comics and related titles of the week, with me as your host, Chris Meat Puppet McLeod, aka Diagnostic 80. Joining me on this episode is Brian Crystal Balls Hickey. On this instalment of your absolutely favourite kind of burst, we look at issue 265 of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. So without further ado, let's get stuck into this comics burst. G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, issue 265, Artificial Intelligence Part 4. G.I. Joe and Cobra go head-to-head in the latest arc finale from the living legend Larry Hama and superstar artist Nito Diaz. But this ending may only be the beginning of bigger troubles to come for our real American heroes. Now, I said last week, when we were looking at 264, that 265, they would have to kind of, bring it to a kind of conclusion in a sense. But they don't really do that. It's just really a nice flowing continuation into Snake Hunt, which, again, I have to be very careful when I say that. But it looks as though you're right, Brian, and they're just basically, it's a very smooth continuation. I felt like there needed to be some sort of conclusion, but that's not necessarily the case here, is it?
It definitely feels as if Larry's very neatly weaving these two threads together. So artificial intelligence, he's taken that up a notch, I think, with what's happened in here. And he's lining that up with the Dreadnoks, with the October Guard, and there's a lot of big players now being aligned for the Snake Hunt series, so can't wait for that to start.
Yeah. But let's get into 265, and we'll start off with the covers. Now we've got your kind of basic, or it's a bit harsh, isn't it? You've got your main cover A, which is Nito Diaz and Jay Brown colours, kind of what looks to be, we're looking at like the eye or some sort of, either the eye of Alpha 001 Prime or some sort of surveillance device or camera.
I think that's Lowlight's sniper sights.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay,
that is seen from 264 of Sean Collins in the head of the Statue of Liberty taking out the terrorists.
Oh, of course. Yeah, that's a really, really good shout. Okay, well, yeah, we'll go with that one then. That's a really good shout. And they've got, you've got your kind of Sean Collins as Snake Eyes cutting them to ribbons, which again, really nice cover, really dramatic, really dynamic. And then they've got that other cover B, which is like the opposite one to the one you had last week.
Yeah, I need to break out last week's issue because these are made to go side by side. You've got the Joe team racing in against the Cobra team on the cover of 265. And this is a beautiful Dan Fraga cover with inks by Adelso Corona and colours by Matt Yaki. This is a superb cover.
It's so cool.
Up on top of his tank, and he's like, pointing, giving them the command to press forward. And you've got Storm Shadow and the Baroness at the foot of the tank charging in, and of course a hooded Cobra as part of the overall action there as well. It's a fantastic piece.
Had they not used Cobra Commander on the Hiss tank, you could have almost thought that was Cobra Commander from the movie after he was changed in Cobra La.
I was a man. Yes. Oh, yes. I was a man.
But I also love the fact that they've got the Rattler, a Trouble Bubble, and a Cobra Fang above them as well, just to kind of like line up nicely with what's going on the Joe cover, which is really, really cool again. And then the retail incentive is by Sean Beck, and it's Dawn Moreno. I forgot her name because we haven't really seen her name pop up much recently. But yeah, we've got Dawn Moreno on the cover of that one. Again, it's nice, kind of cool cover, isn't it? Again, very neat variant there.
It's a nice kind of more minimalist kind of angular sort of style there. I really like what Sean Beck's got going on. Pretty tasty.
Nice. And okay, so let's get into 265. And where we left off last time, obviously Alpha 001 Prime has Destro and the Baroness under his kind of control. They're running a factory basically where they're building upgraded Revanche tech, and we kind of smoothly transition into this issue with Destro and the Baroness again kind of in that position, but Alpha 001 Prime wants Destro and this new upgraded unit to go into the sewers and run basically a security check to make sure that everything is cool. And obviously below the tunnel system, we get introduced to Lowlight again, who was in the last issue, but now we're getting one of my favourite characters, Lightfoot. And I mean, if I wasn't blown away initially by the fact that he was revealed by Nitho Diaz a couple of months back on Twitter with, you know, some of the line drawing, you know, not only am I blown away by the fact they're using him, but he is bad in this story.
Every week or every month, Larry just ramps it up more and more. And this is a superb action sequence with Lightfoot and Lowlight down in the tunnels, facing off against Destro and one of the android Blue Ninja. It's a great little setup here. So we get that smashing panel that obviously Nitho revealed a few weeks back with the two Joes in the tunnels. They are armed to the teeth, and we get the details of their mission. They're simply just on it's a recce. They've got to just plant some devices just to keep an eye on the place, and they've got to get the hell out of Dodge without being spotted. But unfortunately for them, things don't go quite exactly as planned.
Yeah, because obviously Destro and this new unit have kind of dropped in. They detect, or the unit detects, biological entities in the vicinity, aka Lowlight and Lightfoot. And it's really cool because what I like with the Joes, they have to switch from using their like kind of lights and everything and switch to night vision. And I love that part. I love it when you got like Lowlight and Lightfoot put their goggles down, which is really, really neat. I really like the design of Lightfoot here because obviously the toy, his helmet is kind of in a locked position, like his kind of goggle element is kind of fixed on the toy. So it's nice that they've kind of rejigged a little bit some of the design elements here. And obviously I like the fact that his backpack almost like kind of continues over his shoulders and onto his chest, and that's where the grenades kind of chest segment is attached to. So his backpack actually attaches to that, which I've always thought is like quite a cool little design, and does relate very closely to the card art for Lightfoot, which obviously they couldn't do exactly with the toy. But again, absolutely love the design. And I love just the fact, obviously, Destro and this Revanche unit, they basically switch their surveillance or their mode of vision to infrared, and they see them, and then they basically engage Lowlight and Lightfoot. They have to dive out of the way, and something really cool happens after that point, doesn't it?
I love that. Again, the action here is great. Destro and the Blue Ninja open fire. I mean, they are pouring a hail of bullets into the mix. Our two Joes dive for cover under the surface of the scummy sewer.
It's got to be like shit basically, isn't it?
And you get the spoot and sping of the bullets kind of skimming off the top of the water. And it's a great image of, and this is part of the genius of Nitho Diaz's work. You can see Lightfoot, and he's really holding his breath and trying not to blow any of this sewage. It's just a super little panel. And of course, the next panel there, he's pulling the pin out of a grenade, and it's time for the guys to fight back. And we get that grenade straight in, white phosphorus, and pretty much stops the Blue Ninja in its tracks.
Yeah, it destroys this intensifier tube or something, doesn't it? Yeah.
Then Lowlight's up on his feet, and the guys are opening fire. Lowlight targets the vision receptors on the Blue Ninja android and kind of incapacitates it temporarily.
Yeah.
And orders Destro to kind of step into the fray. And that panel of an enraged, psychopathic Destro firing his rockets back at the Joes. It's just, it's
great.
Super.
It's great, isn't it? Because you've got it's the water as well effect around them, like sloshing about. That's really amazing. I'd have probably put more poop nuggets in there, but it's still amazing. And then you have them all kind of basically diving again under the water, getting out of the way of Destro's wrist rocket explosions. But then again, you see Lightfoot in like in kind of in a way that we haven't really seen Lightfoot in the past. Just kind of like letting rip with his machine gun and causing a lot of damage to Destro, taking his hand off, which is kind of foreshadowing. It's a prosthetic hand, but it's interesting because that does foreshadow a little kind of plot point that happens a little later on. Anyway, the Blue Revanche Ninja is kind of almost destroyed, but it still has kind of capabilities, like weapon capabilities, unleashes again another load of fire at our Joes, who are basically hiding around a corner, and they know that when it kind of levels out, they're kind of going to be screwed. So that's when Lowlight flips around, lays down some fire, more or less taking the Revanche droid, taking it back, basically making it Arah out, and then that's when Lightfoot again jumps in with this time with a batch 13 thermite grenade just to finish it off, and then they can make their hasty getaway at that stage, and they get away again like alive and, you know, having dispatched a very difficult upgraded Revanche Blue Ninja and Destro.
That's again, you just see the backs of the Joes as they kind of literally get out of Dodge. They climb out of a manhole and you know, are questioning what was Destro doing down there. But I think it's Lightfoot says, look, that's not our problem. We've got to just bring the intel back and let the analysts work it out.
Exactly.
And before we leave this scene, we get a little moment with Destro looking at the hand that was shot off, and he realizes the hand can still move, even though it's disconnected from his body. And he wonders, will that hand be controlled by the hive mind, the Blue Ninja hive mind, or will he be able to let it operate independently? So a nice bit of setup for something that we're going to see a bit later on.
I find that quite a nice, interesting bit of foreshadowing again. But I kind of like, you know, throw out a little bit of a, I suppose like not a plot hole or anything like that, but like if you're connected, if like this Revanche Alpha 001 Prime is like jacked in to Destro and the Baroness, how is he not knowing everything that's going on with what Destro does? Like, I find that quite interesting, missing kind of element here. If, you know, you'd think if you were jacked into someone like that, then you'd know their every move, but obviously that isn't the case, especially considering he's got to be controlling him still, from even if he is a distance away. There has to be an element of control there, so it's surprising that there is this slight element that can can get by Alpha 001 Prime. Anyway, we shift then into Trucial Abysmia, and we're back with the October Guard, and obviously we've had a little chat about this in the last episode, the fact that how can the October Guard be here? How can they be alive? But there doesn't seem to be any explanation. It's just gone straight into the fact that Horrorshow, Stormavik, Shrage, Colonel Brekov are alive, and Dragonsky and Dana have grabbed them, and they are now basically making their way to this aeroplane to get across the Atlantic to help out with the Snake Eyes being hunted by Cobra scenario. But before that, they have to deal with Spetsnaz.
So, well, I am totally okay with the fact that the October Guard are alive and and doing what they do best. So we get a little bit of setup here. They've arrived at
it's like an admin building, isn't it?
Yeah, like they call it the admin building, but it's like it's in the middle of nowhere.
It's a shack.
And they see their plane, which looks fairly dubious. Horrorshow was maybe a little bit cautious about getting on board, but almost immediately they sense something's not right here. It's too quiet. There's no one looking at the windows. The van parked outside is sitting a little bit too heavy on its wheels. And they know there's an ambush here waiting for them. And as it turns out, yes, it's Spetsnaz, and they are ready to take the October Guard out. But before they can even get a single shot off, their snipers on the roof are taken out, and Horrorshow kicks in with a rocket, takes out the van, and Brekov gives the command, and they basically riddle the admin building with bullets. The whole place is in flames. I mean, within seconds, it's a wreck. They've destroyed it, and not a single shot fired at them in the whole thing. So these guys they're set up as being pretty badass. You don't want to mess with these guys.
I know. And then Dana turns up on the motorcycle, and you know, we find out that it was her that took out those snipers on the roof. So she is like not to be messed with at all. And then they make their way to leave on this absolute junker of an aeroplane. Love it. And then obviously that kind of story's kind of cut at that stage, and we switch on over to Granny's toy shop in the East Village. Now I like this because obviously it says closed for a private party, and you've got all the Joes there for Sean Collins' birthday. They're all full gear. They're all full. They're full like G.I. Joe gear. It's Budo, Helix, Dawn, Jinx, Scarlet, Sean Collins, and the two. Well, I say the two lads. It's not. It's the one lad,
Raymond.
Raymond, who and Milo, but Raymond, who is the older lad now, who obviously has been there since the early Marvel run, and the new youngster, Milo, who's in training, and Granny, of course. But what I love about this first panel, second panel, I should say, or third panel, I should say, is that they've got all the toys in the background on the shelves, and you can see cars and My Little Ponies and Transformers, and there's like a dinosaur T-Rex, which looks a little bit like the one that came with the Dino Hunters set years ago. There's a Hasbro thing. It looks like it's like Hasbro, and then I don't know what it could be. And then you've also got a Power Rangers box set at the top of the, like, towards the top right near Budo. It's really cool. Like, I was looking there trying to pick out all of the different things that were on there and what they could be.
Eagle Eye McLeod, he misses nothing.
They've also, when you switch the page, you see Star Wars or Something Wars, and it looks like a Superman like figure, so it could be like Secret Wars or something along those lines. And then Legends next to it, which I'm guessing is like a Marvel Legends figure case. And then there's another little shelf in the background that looks like it's got like a droid, maybe some other different action figures on there. So it's like, I don't know, I just had a lot of fun really dissecting those pages. But anyway, yeah, take us through what's actually going on, Brian, rather than me picking out toys in the background.
Well, this is a really nice kind of, I think it's a small little interlude in the action, and it's just a little bit of character setup here. And it's done in the context, as you say, it's Sean Collins' birthday. All of the sort of the ninja members of G.I. Joe have got together for this. Clearly they've just jumped in while they're taking a few minutes off duty to pop in and wish him a happy birthday, because they're in full battle gear essentially. Sean has this kind of little interaction with Scarlet and Jinx just in one of the panels where they're kind of setting the scene that it is his birthday, and they're wishing him a happy birthday, and Scarlet invites him to blow out all the candles, and when he lifts his mask you can see everybody's kind
recoiling in horror, aren't they? Yeah.
Except for kind of Granny and Scarlet, but the rest of them are like really, it's hard to look at.
I love how Raymond is holding his hand over Milo's eyes. I think that's really funny. After what Milo's gone through, like, that's probably nothing to him, is it?
He's faced off against some pretty creepy characters since he's joined this series. So, but still, Raymond obviously feels it's a sight not for the eyes of a child, and gets the hands out. And of course, we get a little glimpse. We see kind of some scarring around his mouth as he blows out the candles. And then you get this little moment where Dawn gives him a hug and wishes him a happy birthday. And we see Scarlet, just kind of closes out with Scarlet, tears coming down her eyes. You got the question, is she missing Snake Eyes, or does she have feelings for Sean?
I personally think it's just a commentary on the fact that she misses Snake Eyes because of the parallels that are running through here. I don't think, because she's literally crying, she wouldn't be sad because Dawn is like embracing. I mean, that isn't like a jealousy thing or a sadness towards that aspect. I don't think it could be. To me, it definitely screams that she is obviously missing her Snake Eyes, and the kind of all of the parallels are just making her remember that feeling a little bit, I think, personally. And we'll find out, I suppose, soon. We go over to Elizabeth, New Jersey at that point, and the Dewdrop, which is some sort of bar that all of the Dreadnoks are in. And I say all of the Dreadnoks, I'll read them out. You've got Road Pig kind of walking through with his beer in hand. At the bar, you look to have Monkey Wrench, Thrasher, and I think it's got to be Torch, based on deduction when you look at the other guys. To the table to the right-hand side, you've got Buzzer standing up. You've got Norgahide and Ripper get deep in conversation with each other. And then in the bottom left-hand corner and closest to us, you have Xandar, Zorana, and Zanzibar. So he's keeping all the Z's and the Z's in one place. And obviously coming through the door in the background, you've got Zartan and Crystal Ball. So you've pretty much got... and then you've got the guy you've got the barman, but I don't think he's anything to do with the Dreadnoks. But you've got like pretty much all of your current Dreadnoks, bar a few slight additions maybe. But it's the majority of the team are there, and you've also got the addition of Crystal Ball, and obviously he's come in.
Well, if the Joes were having a nice cozy little birthday party with some cake and some toys, these guys are rocking it. They are rocking it. You can hear the rock music blaring out of this bar. There's beer everywhere. Road Pig is giving out about not having a donut.
I know, he wants donuts. They always want donuts.
Oh, so
it's not even beer, it's grape soda. That's the funniest thing about it. There's me going, it's beer, but it's not. They've all probably got grape soda because that's what they're addicted to.
Oh man. But it's such a rocking joint, totally different mood or vibe to this kind of get together. Zartan barges in and he's got news. And Road Pig again, he's not too interested. He's like, "Where's my bleeding donuts?"
I know, he doesn't give a does he?
And of course, Zartan breaks the news that Crystal Ball has been spying on Cobra. Because we never got to see him in there spying. We just get the post-mortem that. Yeah. He's gone up to Springfield. He's got the lowdown. They have a plan to go after Snake Eyes and to convert him into a Cobra asset using the brainwave scanner. And as Zartan points out, the Dreadnoks had previously sided with Snake Eyes, making them enemy number one for Cobra. And there's no way they can risk having Snake Eyes turned and then being used against them. So they have to step in and basically prevent Cobra Commander's plan.
It's interesting because you've got, obviously the Joes are going to be involved, the Cobra faction obviously going to be involved. They're the two main forces you're dealing with at the moment. But then also you've got to consider the fact that October Guard are flying over to help out. The Zartan and the Dreadnoks are now on the side of Snake Eyes. And I don't think Revanche really give a crap, but you're going to have Destro and the Baroness who are we'll see shortly, probably be separated from Revanche. Spoiler alert. And that does take us into that final element of the story, and it turns out as Destro comes back from his surveillance with this droid, drops the helmet, the head, clonks it on the table in front of Alpha 001 Prime, and he says well, how did you escape this, without dying? And he was like, luck. And he's like, that is a fallacious meat puppet concept. Return to the assembly line and resume your duties there. So Destro goes back in to where the Baroness is to resume his duties. His hand jumps off his arm and basically goes autonomous, runs up to the Baroness and takes her thing out of the back of her head, which was controlling her. And she's like, gasp! And then she says, turn around, I'll take out yours. And we're into to be continued. The funny thing about this, and I'll put the video in, show a bit of the video of it, is this reminds me of a Red Dwarf episode where Crichton is in a crash. He's in a spaceship crash and he's in a really bad way, and he ends up having to take his hand off and put an eye on the end of one of his fingers and send it off to try and get help. And it is the funniest episode ever. So I'm gonna have to show some footage of that. It's just hilarious. But anyway, what are your thoughts on that one, Brian?
Well, again, I love that we have this little setup here. I wasn't really comfortable with Destro and the Baroness being under the command of Alpha 001 Prime, because I kind of like those guys. They might be the bad guys, but they're kind of bad guys that I really like them. And so I'm happy to see that they've now got a way out of that hellhole that they were in. And you can see it in the Baroness's eyes, when Destro's hand sets her free. Again, superb artwork here. The surprise and then the relief as she's kind of almost doubled over, just kind of catch her breath back. And they're going to mean some serious business now when they, presumably once they kind of come out of...
Revanche, totally.
Revanche.
Yeah, totally.
So really what we've got here is a poop storm brewing, essentially. So we've got the October Guard, total badasses. We've seen how lethal these guys are. We've got the Dreadnoks, who we know by reputation are not to be messed with. They're coming to the aid of Snake Eyes. There's no way anybody is going to believe that these guys are here to do good or to help.
That's a good point, because Snake Eyes isn't aware that Cobra are after him at this particular moment in time, or Sean Collins isn't aware that he's being targeted. They know, obviously, the Joes have just set the surveillance stuff up, so they're probably this is probably the plot point that allows them to find out what is going on and why, why Revanche has upped its kind of business and so on and so forth. So I suppose the Joes will find out eventually, but yeah, you're right. When the Dreadnoks and the October Guard turn up, they're not going to be they're not going to be friends all of a sudden. There's going to be some battles before there's the big battle, isn't there? Surely.
Like the October Guard will assume the Dreadnoks are still Cobra, so
Yep.
There's hell. All hell's going to break loose there.
It's not as if the Joes are really close with the October Guard as well. Like they've had, they've always been in situations when they probably had a similar goal, but they were working for different governments. So there was always that element where when they were together, they were always put together in like a way that neither team wanted. Do you know what I mean? It's like they're not like allies in that sense.
The classic unholy alliance. And I would not be surprised if when the Joes first see the October Guard, that one of the Joes doesn't say, "Hey, I thought those guys were dead."
Yes, that would be a great little homage, actually. And I wonder if that does happen. That would be really cool. I would love to hear why we are seeing the October Guard, but honestly, it might just be better if it is a mistake to just keep going with it and just ignore the fact that yes, they were killed, a number of issues, or many issues ago. But again, like you say, it's nice to see them back. Actually, my other concern is not concern, but there are a few more October Guard characters, and if obviously we're talking like if these can come back from the dead, then why can't we see Misha and Gorky as well? So I'm intrigued as to why those guys have been cut out of this, and yet Horror Show, Shrage and Stormavik and Brekov are still about. But anyway, Larry is wanting to use all of the characters in the G.I. Joe universe over the next few issues, the next 10 issues, I believe, which is crazy to think about. I mean, there are so many characters.
Like, there's hundreds. That's going to be amazing.
I'm looking forward to it, though. I can't wait to see it happen.
Do you know what? Epic battles. Epic battles.
In any case, what are you giving issue 265, the finale of Artificial Intelligence, as a potating?
Well, I do take on board your point earlier, and I actually do agree with you. When Destro thinks to himself, can I use my hand or not independently? When I read that, I thought, well, surely Alpha 001 Prime knows he's thinking this. Because
he says it out loud as well.
He said it out loud, but earlier in the comic, Alpha 001 Prime senses Destro's rage.
Yeah.
At being controlled. So it seems that's a setup to say that Alpha 001 Prime can read his mind.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Larry will resolve that somehow, will retcon it somehow in the next issue, or if he'll just kind of let it slide. So it's a small little detail, but I'm not going to let that stop me giving this a full 5 potatoes because it's still freaking awesome.
I did love this issue for many different reasons. One, again, it is full of action, lots of cool stuff to enjoy about it. It's on different fronts. You get loads of characters, surprisingly a lot of characters in this particular book, this particular issue. And everything kind of is quite interesting. There's that interesting moment with Sean when he takes his mask off and you see the scarring. The interesting moment, the fact that, Dawn is really enamored with him by the looks of things, but also Scarlet is hurting still. And, as you would fully expect her to hurt. But on top of that, you've got some really cool fringe characters being utilised here in Lowlight and Lightfoot. Lowlight now has been used in a couple of issues running, but Lightfoot, who doesn't really get a lot of love, is given a really, really good go in this particular issue. My only point to make about Lightfoot in this particular issue, and pretty much every issue he's been involved in the G.I. Joe comic, his robot drone is not visible. He's not utilised in it. And obviously he's not going to be utilised in the sewer, but I would love it if we see that drone at some point in the next few issues, because I feel like that little bad boy has never got the love he deserves. And considering I spent weeks and weeks on a cosplay of that bloody thing, I want to see it in the comics.
He's like a little R2D2 or a B. Get him in there. We can have fun with this guy.
I nicknamed mine Percy. I haven't thought of a decent acronym for that yet, but I will do. But anywho, I'm going to give this issue, because it's really strong, and my only issues are those few little plot holes, like the Destro situation, the October Guard issue, which is kind of ongoing at the moment, and I can't really hold that against him if this is the way it is. I still feel like it's niggling at me, so I'm gonna give this one a 4 stars. And most of those 4 come because they used Lightfoot. And again, the art's gorgeous. It's beautiful. A cracking work from Netho again. And yeah, I'm going to go 4 stars. It's still a brilliant issue. Really enjoyed it. And I'm really looking forward now to Snake Hunt.
Yay!
Wow. And Robert Atkins, who's going to be jumping on that one for interiors. So yes, it should be an interesting run.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it a lot.
Absolutely. Brian, thank you for jumping on this episode of Comics Burst. We're up to, I think, 35 now. It's not bad, is it?
Well, hey, okay.
Not bad at all. When are we getting the next Disorder of Battle?
Do you know what? I am working on Codename Red Jackal.
Brilliant.
And that will effectively be the, if you like, that Destro trilogy in the Action Force universe. We can close that off. So looking forward to getting that finished, getting on a call with you, hopefully in the next week and a half, and getting that bad boy recorded.
Brilliant. I'm really excited actually for that one. Brilliant. Okay, well, thanks for jumping on, mate. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely loved it, buddy.
That's it for this instalment of the Full Force Comics Burst. Thank you to my awesome co-host, Brian Hickey. See you next time, and as always, Full Force. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @The Full Force, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/The Full Force, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback or questions. We have also started a Patreon page, so if you want to see your name up in lights on these videos or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/The Full Force Podcast, or click the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force. And a big shout out to our sponsors, Distant Planet Comics and Collectibles, located at 601 Business Loop 70 West Suite 263, located in the Parkade Center, Columbia, Missouri. You can visit their website at distantplanetcomics.com and on Facebook at facebook.com/distantplanetcomics.